I'm Tami, and fitness has always been a huge thing in my life. I started to get interested in fitness when I was a teenager because my body did not absorb nutrients. I was always very thin and very frail, and I didn't like it and very sickly. And so I started working out to try to gain muscle, to try to gain actually a little bit of size. And I remember working out in my basement all alone, not telling anybody. And I just started to really love it. My life took a bad turn. I decided to open a gym. I decided to make my life matter and to go full on, full force. I started competing in fitness. I opened a gym. I just decided that I was going to use this hurt. I was going to use it for good. And I just threw everything into it, but so much so that I was working nonstop. Opening a business, as I'm sure some of you know, can be extremely draining. I was getting up at 5 and working till 10 every day. I was teaching over 20 classes a week, which is really hard on the body. And even though I was very young, what happens is when we're working out, our body sweats, right? We sweat out, but we are sweating out our minerals and our nutrients, and to replenish that isn't easy. Plus, I was competing, so I was on a very strict, low-carb diet, right? So I was not actually getting all the minerals and vitamins that I need, which is hard to get anyway because we don't have them in the soils, and our plants are deficient. And so I was sicker, getting sicker and sicker. So because of my body being so depleted, I had a lot of issues. Now, issues just don't pop up overnight, it takes time. And I find that often in your 20s, you can, keep going and your body doesn't break down, but with time, your body will break down if you are not giving it the minerals and the nutrients that it needs. And through pregnancies and just life, I started getting sicker and sicker and weaker and weaker. And I had a host of issues. I can't even hardly begin to explain to you all my issues. I had adrenal fatigue. I was having episodes where my body would just collapse and I would fall to the ground. My eyes would be open, but nothing could move. And my longest episode lasted 30 minutes. They were very intense. And even though I went for so many tests, the doctors all said I was fine, but I wasn't fine. I got to the point where I could barely get out of bed, and that lasted long, for years. My menstrual cycle was almost non-existent, and it's interesting because what happens is when you do have your cycle, your body loses minerals and nutrients, so what it does as a protection measure is it stops the cycle. So that's a sign too that your body isn't functioning as it should be functioning. Often I think we can look at a body and say, that's a fit body. And I like to challenge people on thinking about that, because what is fit? What is healthy? What does that look like? And I think that it has many faces. I think that media has distorted that, and they say that this is exactly the look that means you're healthy. So when I was competing, I think to most people they would have thought I was extremely healthy. Today I'm not nearly as muscular and not as lean as I was then, and I'm much healthier than I was then. So I think that we really need to define health in a different way. How are we feeling? How is our energy? How are we sleeping? How are we mentally coping and dealing with life? Working out without supplementation can actually be dangerous for your body, because you are pushing your body to the limits. And if it is not getting fed back the minerals and the vitamins and the nutrients that it needs, that can lead to a lot of stuff we don't want happening to the body, right? A lot of not good stuff. So you have to be really careful that we are always replenishing and always putting back into the body when we are taking out, when we are sweating. And that is actually exactly the same as the soils. We take out from the soils, we don't put back in the minerals and vitamins, and then what happens? Our soils are depleted, and when our soils are depleted, the plants cannot get the minerals or the nutrients that they need. And anybody that's a bodybuilder or into fitness, and I've done many competitions, I used to compete worldwide, and they know that if you are not absorbing your nutrients, if you're not breaking down your proteins, you're not going to be able to get the same muscle mass that you would otherwise. So whatever your motive is, if your top motive is looks, you still will get better results by getting the minerals and the nutrients and everything into your body that you need. So if you are someone with big goals when it comes to health, fitness, you definitely want to add in a supplement that is good quality, adding in your nutrients, getting everything you need into your body so that you can live the best life that you can live. And I would love to help you along this journey.